So I remember this challenge from some time ago, and like any other trend, I am late. But I'm doing it now. For those that may have missed it or need a reminder, this is called the Pause Art Challenge, where you pick a short video that has multiple designs to randomly pause on, and hopefully make all of it work together. Basically, you were the randomizer and the character creator. Some have fewer options than others, so you can either use them to get an idea or rely on whatever you pause on, but the goal is to make a character with everything you pause on. I chose to use LavenderTowne's because I'm choosing to rely entirely on whatever I pause on, and she made one with plenty of designs. Plus, I love her, so. And now with that out of the way, on to my new characters. Starting off with our first character, I think I ended up pretty lucky. Everything I landed on just gave me a very outgoing and fancy kind of girl. So I made sure to keep her kind of like the fancy royal rat. The rat tail kind of almost threw me off guard, but I think it made it work. I think it works. I didn't have much trouble figuring out how to put everything together, so I went straight into the sketch after putting all of what I had to add on the side and got through the line art pretty well. Until I got to her hair, which I don't usually draw, but I need to up my hair game anyway, so this was really helpful. I basically used LavenderTowne as reference, and her hair did go a little more, not flat, like thinner. Her hair isn't as big as it was in the sketch, and I did think to redo it, but then I thought it was closer to what I got, so I left it alone and moved on to coloring. I basically used the base colors from the references and kept the color palette mainly around pink and blue. Now if you're familiar with my art style, I usually blend a lot of my colors together, but today I felt like cell shading instead. I mostly didn't want to spend too much time on each character since I will be making 3 characters in this video, and I like how simple it is, so cell shading it is. Maybe a little influence from LavenderTowne, but you decide. I haven't come up with her backstory or name yet, or for anyone else in this video, so let me know what backstory you guys would give them and what names they should have. Especially names. I don't know about you, but I can come up with stories all day, but names? What is the name? And she's done. Character 1 completed, on to character 2. And with character 2, I think my luck kind of went out the window, because I think this one was the hardest one. I think the wings threw me off the most, and maybe that's because I'm just coming out of February and drew a lot of wings, but this one took a bit. I mean, the ears are very specific too, so did that stop me? Did I repause? Nope, because before I thought to, it finally clicked. So obviously with her outfit, showgirl, obviously, she has to perform, so mix that with the siren ears, and we got a mermaid who performs. A mermaid that performs needs her gimmick, right? And that gimmick being anything from the surface and above, which is why I made her hair and the mushrooms match and look like stars. So her wings are for the performances, maybe when she pretends to fly in the air or when she jumps out of the water, who knows, it's all for the show. The acne I was a little bit worried about, but I think I did it right. Can mermaids get acne? Now for her colors, I wanted to make the original eye color the main color along with some red. I decided to use the purple in the color palette I chose, both for shading and her outline, because I think that mixed well with the cell shading and the colors. I think she ended up being one of the most colorful, and it reminded me of when we usually make our first OCs. The bright colors, crazy hair, a lot going on, and I think that's always part of the fun. I think she made me pretty nostalgic, and I'm glad I got to design her. Rough beginning, but a very happy end. And finally, onto our third character. I think with this one, I was more surprised at how well these could work together. At first glance, I was worried, but once I tweaked it just a bit, it was perfect. Just like the mushrooms in our previous character, I made sure to match the tentacles with the hair, and she gave me a more earthy vibe. The overalls are very strong in this one, and it will make more sense once I get to her colors, because I definitely wanted to go for a magical fantasy farm vibe. So once I made sure I had everything checked off, I focused on keeping her colors green and brown. It's nature, what's more natural than those colors? Also, if any of you are curious to where I got most of my color palettes, this is the website. Not sponsored, I just tried it once after I heard about it and never looked back. Just very handy. By this point, I was running pretty low on energy and I couldn't figure out what was missing. I almost forgot to add in the grassy details in her hair and extra arms, and I still felt like I was missing something. I was about to finish and save until I finally remembered her lips. I had them in the coloring file I used to avoid accidentally flashing the colors in the recording, but I finally remembered and she finally looked finished. I had to add this in the video because I just remembered going crazy the whole time I was coloring her, wondering what was wrong with everything. I almost added props until I figured it out. Yes, lips are important. But after all that, we have finally completed the Pause Art Challenge with 3 whole new characters. Again, please let me know what names you would pick out for them, and if you have any ideas for backstories for them, I would love to hear them. Maybe I'll do this again later down the line. This was really fun. But you guys can also let me know what other challenges I should try out. There's so many. I've missed so many trends. I would love a reminder. I'm thinking of maybe drawing my little character here in different styles, or trying to draw characters from memory. But I need a list of characters to try to remember. I would love suggestions. But until then, like, comment, and subscribe for more. Check out my shop, and I will see you next time. Yeah, bye.